Most women think that the loss of energy, confidence, and sensual spark after 60 is just something they have to accept, a quiet tax that time collects from the body. Maybe you've even told yourself that chapter is over, that the mirror's reflection and the body's silence are proof that desire belongs to younger years. But what if that's not true? What if everything you've been taught to feel embarrassed about, to hide, or to dismiss as no longer appropriate, is actually the very thing your body has been begging you to rediscover? What if I told you that one of the most powerful tools for restoring your vitality, deepening your sense of self, and even sharpening your mind is not found in a supplement bottle, a gym membership, or a cosmetic procedure? What if it's something innate, private, and completely within your control, something you were born with, but perhaps never truly allowed yourself to explore? Welcome to the Female Health Podcast, where we talk about what most women only whisper about. I'm Dr. Lia Parker, a gynecologist and intimate health psychologist with over 30 years of experience helping women navigate the physical and emotional seasons of their lives. And today we're going to talk about something that has been misjudged, misunderstood, and shamefully neglected, yet holds the power to restore not only your body's vitality, but your confidence, your sleep, your energy, and your joy. You see, over the decades I've spoken with thousands of women who have raised families, built careers, cared for others, and carried worlds on their shoulders. They come into my office smiling, graceful, accomplished, but when the door closes and the conversation turns quiet, many of them confess to the same private ache, a feeling of disconnection. They tell me they feel dulled, faded, almost invisible. They look in the mirror and say, "I don't recognize the woman I used to be." It breaks my heart every single time, because I know that what they're describing isn't a loss of beauty or worth, it's a loss of permission. Somewhere along the way, they were taught that pleasure, especially self-pleasure, was shameful, selfish, or even dirty. And that old script still plays in the background of their minds, even decades later. It tells them they shouldn't feel, shouldn't want, shouldn't explore. But here's the truth: your capacity for pleasure does not expire. Your sensuality is not a phase of youth, it is an essential, lifelong current of health. So today, I'm going to share with you 4 self-pleasure secrets that have helped countless women over 60 regain their vitality and confidence. These are not fantasies or fads, they're holistic strategies grounded in science and self-compassion. We'll begin with the mind, by dismantling the old beliefs that hold you back. Then we'll explore your body's new landscape with curiosity and tenderness. And finally, I'll show you how to turn self-pleasure into a ritual, a source of strength, calm, and radiance that can change the way you move through life. Stay with me until the end, because the final secret I'll share is the one that my patients say made the greatest difference, the quiet, simple shift that brought their spark back. You might just find it does the same for you. The first and most powerful transformation begins not in your body, but in your mind. Before you can rediscover pleasure, you must confront the quiet, persistent voice that says you shouldn't. That voice, the one that whispers this is wrong, this is selfish, this is not for women my age, has lived inside you for decades. It didn't appear out of nowhere. It was planted long ago in a world that told you nice girls don't, that your body existed for someone else's satisfaction, and that your own desire was something to hide. I see it every day in my practice. Women in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, women who have conquered careers, families, and hardships, still battling an invisible shame about their own bodies. They can discuss cholesterol or arthritis without a blink, but when the topic turns to pleasure, their voices drop. They laugh it off or change the subject. Behind those small gestures lies something profound, a lifetime of conditioning that equated self-pleasure with guilt. Here's the truth, and I want you to hold on to it. Ignoring your body's capacity for pleasure isn't virtue, it's deprivation. It's like refusing to stretch a sore muscle. The tension doesn't disappear, it deepens. Suppress this natural rhythm and your system suffers. Shame fuels stress, stress releases cortisol, and cortisol raises blood pressure, disturbs sleep, and dulls immunity. Over time, emotional silence becomes physical heaviness. Now imagine the opposite. When you allow yourself the grace of self-pleasure, when you replace guilt with curiosity, your body answers with chemistry designed to heal. Oxytocin calms the nervous system and rebuilds connection. Endorphins ease pain and lift mood. Dopamine sparks motivation and energy. These aren't indulgences, they're biological proof that pleasure is medicine. So how do you rewrite the script? Begin with one small act, a physical declaration of permission. Take a piece of paper and write, "I give myself permission to explore my body with kindness and curiosity. My pleasure is natural. My body is good. My joy is valid." Sign it, tuck it somewhere private, your journal, your nightstand, a favorite book. It may sound symbolic, but I've watched this tiny act unlock decades of silence. A woman I once worked with, let's call her Samantha, told me her body felt like a house she no longer lived in. She wrote her permission slip one afternoon and said it was like turning a key in a long rusted lock. It wasn't about the act itself, it was about reclaiming the right to feel. As you begin this mental rewiring, be gentle. When that inner critic speaks up, don't argue, replace it. Say to yourself, "My body belongs to me. My pleasure is part of my well-being. I am not too old for joy." This is the first secret. The barrier was never your body, it was the story you were told about it. Once that story shifts, something extraordinary happens. You hear your body's voice again, and that voice will guide us to the next secret, reconnecting with the body you live in now. Stay with me. If you found this first secret about reclaiming your mind helpful, please type 1 in the comments. If it didn't quite land or something's missing, type 0. Your feedback is invaluable and helps me tailor these conversations. Now that we've begun clearing the mental and emotional hurdles, let's talk about the elephant in the room. It's time to turn towards something even more intimate, your body itself. Not the body you once had, but the body you live in today. Because for many women, the hardest part isn't accepting change, it's believing that change means loss. But what if it doesn't? What if the changes in your post-menopausal body are not endings, but invitations to discover yourself in new ways? So many women tell me the same thing. "Dr. Parker, I tried to connect with my body the way I used to, but it just doesn't respond." They say it quietly, as if they've failed some invisible test. And I always tell them the same thing. You didn't fail your body simply learned a new language. It's waiting for you to learn it too. Let's talk about what's really happening beneath the surface. After menopause, estrogen levels decline, and that shift affects almost everything. The elasticity of your tissues, your natural lubrication, even the circulation that brings warmth and sensitivity. You might notice dryness, tightness, or a slower physical response. Maybe certain movements aren't as comfortable as before, especially if you live with arthritis or stiffness. These changes are real, but they're not evidence of disappearance. They're signals, quietly asking you to care for yourself differently. Here's where most women unintentionally make things harder. They keep expecting their bodies to react exactly as they did at 30. When that doesn't happen, they give up, sometimes for years. But avoiding touch only deepens the disconnection. Less touch means less blood flow, which leads to even more dryness and sensitivity loss. The cycle reinforces itself until pleasure feels like something that belongs to another lifetime. That's where the first simple, practical change makes all the difference. Lubrication. Not as an afterthought, but as an act of care. Think of it as comfort, not correction. The tissues of your body deserve the same softness and support you give to the rest of yourself. Choose a water-based or silicone-based lubricant, free of parabens, glycerin, and artificial fragrance. Keep it nearby, like lotion for the most delicate skin. It's not about need, it's about nurture. Once you begin to explore with comfort, you might find something surprising. Sensitivity hasn't left you, it's moved. The body's map of pleasure evolves with time. The nape of the neck, the curve of the shoulder, the inner thighs, even the scalp, they awaken when touched with patience. This is how women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond rediscover not just pleasure, but confidence. One of my patients, a 72-year-old gardener, once told me her arthritis made intimacy difficult. We talked about tools that could help, shapes and textures designed for comfort, not performance. Weeks later, she said quietly, "It's the first time I've felt connected to myself in years." If this conversation about honoring your changing body resonates with you, type 1 in the comments. If it feels challenging or confusing, type 0. Your voice matters here. In our next part, we'll go even deeper into how to turn this care into a ritual. Not a rushed moment, but a sacred practice that feeds your body, your sleep, and your spirit. Stay with me, the most powerful secret is still to come. By now you've begun to see your body not as something that's betraying you, but as something that's asking to be met with new understanding. And once that realization settles in, an entirely new chapter begins, the rediscovery of pleasure itself. Because the truth is, pleasure doesn't disappear with age, it simply changes its address. For most of your life, you may have been taught that pleasure lives in one place, one kind of touch, one kind of rhythm. But that's the old map. Your body's geography has shifted, and now it's time to explore it with curiosity instead of comparison. Think of this as an invitation to wander, to notice what still stirs, what feels different, what surprises you. The clitoris, for instance, remains one of the most remarkable organs in the human body. It never loses its capacity for sensation, not at 40, not at 60, not at 80. But like any part of the body, it thrives on attention and blood flow. When neglected, it can grow quieter. When reawakened, it can sing. Even gentle stimulation increases circulation, nourishing the tissues and awakening nerve endings that may have gone dormant through years of silence. But don't stop there, because one of the most beautiful truths about aging is that the body learns to experience pleasure in places it once overlooked: the curve of your shoulders, the space just below your collarbone, the soft skin behind your knees, the slow brush of fingertips over your scalp or your inner thighs. These are not substitutes, they are expansions. Full-body sensuality is one of the greatest gifts of maturity. It invites you to inhabit your entire self, not just fragments of it. Now let's talk about tools, not taboo toys, but instruments of wellness. Vibrators and personal massagers aren't signs of desperation or loneliness. They are tools of circulation and self-connection. They increase blood flow to the pelvic region, helping to restore elasticity and comfort, and they can make arousal easier and orgasms deeper. For women who deal with arthritis or hand stiffness, a wand-style vibrator can bring ease and control without discomfort. It's about allowing pleasure without strain, joy without effort. One of my patients, a 70-year-old retired teacher, told me she used to feel awkward about using one. It felt like I was admitting defeat, she said. But when she finally did, her perspective changed completely. I realized it wasn't about replacing touch, she said softly. It was about reawakening it. That shift from shame to self-care changed everything. If this part about exploring new sensations and embracing supportive tools resonates with you, type 1 in the comments. If it feels like something you're still hesitant about, type 0. Your thoughts help us make this space safer and more honest. And stay close, because in the next part, we're going to elevate everything we've talked about so far. We'll turn these moments of rediscovery into a sacred ritual, one that nourishes not just your body, but your confidence, your sleep, and your sense of inner peace. We've explored the mind and begun reconnecting with the body, but something magical happens when those two come together. When thought, touch, and time align, the experience of pleasure shifts entirely. It stops being an act and starts becoming a ritual. Not something hidden, not something rushed, but a deliberate, sacred rhythm of self-connection. You see, most women treat self-pleasure the same way they were taught to feel about it decades ago: hurried, quiet, tucked away between guilt and secrecy. They move fast, almost trying to finish before the shame catches up. But the truth is, that rush is what keeps the mind tense and the body distant. The body can't unfold under pressure. It opens only when you tell it, "You're safe here." That's what a ritual does. It sends a message to your nervous system that this moment is allowed, that your own touch, your own comfort, your own rhythm are not interruptions to life, they are life. So here's where I want you to begin. Choose a time that belongs only to you. Don't squeeze it between chores or appointments. Set it aside like you would a call with someone you love. Because that's exactly what this is, a call inward. Then prepare your space. Dim the lights, soften the air. Maybe it's candlelight or the sound of rain. Maybe your favorite scent drifting through the room. The goal is simple: to tell every sense that this is your sanctuary. No expectations, no goal. You are here to feel. Start slowly. Touch your body as though you are meeting it again after years apart. Trace the outline of your skin, your shoulders, your chest, your stomach, not to perform, but to listen. Feel the warmth return, the pulse under your fingertips. Let your breath lengthen. This is where your body starts to remember. And when pleasure begins to rise, don't chase it. Don't hurry toward the end. Stay in the middle, where sensation meets emotion. Let the waves build and fade, again and again. You'll notice something strange and beautiful, a calm that seeps through you. That calm is oxytocin, the body's peace chemical. The ache that eases in your joints, that's endorphins at work. The sudden clarity afterward, dopamine, waking your focus. This isn't indulgence, it's your biology rejoicing. One woman I spoke with, Eleanor, 74, told me she began creating a quiet ritual twice a week. Soft lighting, gentle music, a single lavender candle. It's the only time I feel completely at peace, she said. I sleep better, I dream again. That's what ritual does. It nourishes more than the body. It rewires how you live inside it. If this idea of creating a ritual for yourself speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If it feels a bit foreign or difficult, type 0. I want to know what holds you back. And stay close, because in a moment, we're going to explore something most women overlook entirely: the invisible chemistry that turns this practice into energy, confidence, and that quiet glow people can't quite explain. Something begins to change when you start treating pleasure as care instead of secrecy. It's subtle at first, a lighter step, a better night's sleep, a new softness in how you speak to yourself. Then slowly it grows into something unmistakable: confidence. Not the loud, performative kind, but the quiet, luminous kind that radiates from within. Because what we often forget is that confidence isn't just a mindset, it's chemistry. Every time you allow yourself to experience pleasure, you trigger a cascade of natural reactions that restore your balance, your calm, and your vitality. Your body begins to respond as if it's been waiting for you to notice it again. When oxytocin floods your system, it lowers blood pressure and melts tension from your muscles. Endorphins ease pain and create a soft euphoria that lingers for hours. Dopamine sharpens your focus, lifts your motivation, and reminds you what anticipation feels like. Even estrogen, which many assume has vanished after menopause, can momentarily increase with arousal, keeping your tissues supple and your mood steady. These aren't just fleeting sensations, they are signs that your body is still incredibly responsive, still alive, still capable of renewal. And here's the part that surprises most women: regular pleasure doesn't only change how you feel, it changes how you carry yourself. You begin to stand differently. Your posture softens, but your presence strengthens. Your words come out slower, sure, because pleasure teaches your nervous system that safety and worthiness live inside you, not outside. You stop waiting for validation, and you start giving it to yourself in the most intimate language your body knows. I remember one woman, Diane, a 69-year-old widow, who told me she had stopped wearing perfume years ago because she didn't see the point anymore. When she began reconnecting with her body through ritual, she said something extraordinary: "I started wearing it again, not for anyone else, but because I liked how it made me feel." That's the chemistry of confidence. It's not performance, it's peace. And here's a truth worth holding close: the more consistently you honor your pleasure, the more powerful its effects become. Just like a daily walk keeps your joints flexible, a regular ritual of touch keeps your energy flowing, your circulation strong, and your mood lifted. It's not about frequency or technique, it's about attention, about listening, about whispering to your body, "I am still here, and I am still worthy of joy." This steady return of warmth, color, and confidence is the quiet revolution no one talks about. It's not about turning back the clock. It's about stepping into a deeper, wiser kind of womanhood, where desire is not an echo of the past, but a pulse of the present. If this resonates with you, let me know with a 1 in the comments. And if something stirred in you today, a memory, a curiosity, a new sense of possibility, share it below. You never know who you might inspire. Until next time, remember this: your body is not a closed chapter. It is still writing, still responding, still capable of wonder. And every time you choose to listen to it, every time you choose pleasure over silence, you remind it that you are beautifully, unmistakably alive.